In 48 hours that the government went from doing nothing,
being held hostage, all the while hundreds of millions.
Okay, watch the conservatives. They keep fucking up. You have the moral high ground. All you have to do is fucking speak and shut the fuck up. And it's like a fucking classroom of high school fucking kids. We're not going to get anywhere with this government on either side. Because as soon as conservatives make a fucking point, they fucking he and ha and hear har har and fuck their shit up. You guys are the moral high ground. You got this. All you got to do is say your point, shut the fuck up, and stop acting like hoodlums. Like, we got this. You got this. You're the moral high ground. Everybody wants you to fucking win. All you have to do is make your point in Parliament and shut the fuck up and bury the fucking libs. Very simple. Very easy. Done. Game over. Okay? Watch.
So will the Prime Minister admit that this is all just a move to crack down on dissent?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would advise the honourable member to be careful in that line of questioning before people actually look into what he and his fellow Conservative Party members said.
I want to remind the honourable members that shouting names at each other is not the way this place works. No. Before you start clapping, start looking at your own benches. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Yeah, what if their benches have a bunch of paid fucking shills there that are literally rabble-rousing because they're paid to do so? You take that into fucking consideration, House Speaker?
Conservative Party of Canada in regards to Indigenous protests, in regards to Black Lives Matter protests, in regards to marginalized people asking for their rights, versus what we're seeing here of illegal blockades that are hurting
the white we're seeing here. What a
potential overthrow of a duly elected government. That is not what is responsible.
First of all, the government failed the people, so they should step down technically, but okay.
The blockades of vital transportation routes in 2020, and we have denounced the same blockades this time, Mr. Speaker. The only thing that has changed is the Prime Minister's reaction. When he agreed with the anti-energy protesters, he let them continue for weeks and even offered a settlement. This time, he grants himself unprecedented powers to attack those he disagrees with. Canadians do not want to live in a country where the Prime Minister gets to personally decide which protests are legitimate. So once again, isn't this all just about cracking down on dissent?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as a government, we have always stood up for the right to peaceful protest. We have always stood up for the right to freedom of assembly or freedom of expression. Mr. Speaker, these illegal blockades are hurting Canadians, are hurting their livelihoods, and are hurting the well-being and endangering the well-being of people and communities across this country. But the former leader of the Conservative Party points out that they have stood against the blockades. Unfortunately, many members of his party have stood with these illegal blockades and even encouraged them to continue blockading their fellow citizens.
Honourable member for...
Not one conservative. They all promote encouraging the protests, not the blockades.
And this national crisis has exposed some real frustrations that Canadians feel. Canadians that have gotten vaccinated, that have followed the public health guidelines, are looking at a...
Shut the fuck up. What are these people doing with this? You have the fucking whole country's fucking lives in your hands, and you're fucking humming and hawing in a fucking place where you're supposed to be professional. Like, what the fuck? Get these people out of fucking office.
Roof over their head. We're having struggles to put food on the table. What is he doing to respond to that real, legitimate frustration?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, every step of the way through this crisis, from the beginning of the pandemic, we've had Canadians' backs with unprecedented...
Bullshit. There's a huge depression in every fucking aspect. Like, what?
And vaccines and health supports so people could get wage subsidies and rent subsidies to keep small businesses going and to keep people in their jobs. A direct support for seniors.
You shut down small businesses, you rob people of their jobs, and then you ask them to go on government assistance.
Canadians' backs, and we will continue to be investing in housing.
bullshit.
Measures in the measures that are going to be supporting Canadians into
the honourable member for Burnaby.
All he said was housing and the measures supporting Canadians.
Exposer des inquiétudes, des injustices dans notre système. Monsieur, madame, tout le monde voit les milliardaires qui gagnent des profits records au même temps qu'il est de plus en plus difficile de trouver du logement.
Dude, stop playing the fucking rich millionaire card. Half those guys are actually creating jobs and supporting the majority of the people. There are a couple moguls that are dickheads and hoard their money and don't share it with anyone and make everyone's lives worse. And they're few and far between, supposedly. Well, no, actually, they're probably the majority of businessmen, but there's a lot of good ones out there, so fuck off with the fucking billionaire tax.
Dans ma dernière réponse, j'ai parlé un petit peu de tout ce qu'on a fait depuis les débuts de cette pandémie, mais en plus de ça, nous savons que nous devons en faire plus, aller de l'avant. Mais je soulignerais par contre qu'il y a des familles à travers le pays, dans les endroits comme en Alberta, au Manitoba et ailleurs, où des familles sont en train de sauver des centaines de dollars par mois avec des places en garderie moins chères et plus abondantes.
He just keeps bringing up fucking childcare and fucking families, childcare families. The families are gonna be poor and have no money if you take all the fathers' fucking jobs away. The families are gonna be poor and have no money if you take all the kids' jobs away. The families are gonna be poor and depressed if the kids kill themselves because they can't go out and hang out with their fucking friends.
Standing Committee for the Environment and Sustainable Development, I look forward to reviewing this legislation when it comes to this place. Could the Prime Minister comment on the importance of this legislation in helping us to address the climate crisis, as well as recovering clean lakes, rivers, and streams, and providing ongoing protection for our environment? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Right Honourable.
Oh, great question. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
For his important question and his tireless advocacy on behalf of the environment. This bill is a big step towards strengthening the protection of Canadians.
His tireless funding from the Trudeau government.
Lands and forests from harmful chemicals and other toxic pollutants.
Yeah, tell that to Elmira.
Better stewards of our environment, making Canada a better place for us and for the generations that follow. I encourage all parliamentarians to work together to pass this bill as soon as possible.
The member for Red Deer Lacombe.
Mr. Speaker, 2/3 of Canadians want to see COVID restrictions and mandates lifted. We have amongst the highest vaccination rate in the world, but Canadians are still living under restrictions that many other less vaccinated countries have lifted. Canadians want a plan for ending restrictions, and they are incredibly disappointed that the NDP and the Liberals blocked our Conservative motion asking for one. So, Mr. Speaker, if 32% of the vote is good enough for the Liberals to form government, why isn't 90% good enough to lift mandates?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, for 2 years, Canadians have been there for each other, and all of us together, we've followed the science. We've made sure that people get vaccinated. We've made sure that people have access to rapid tests. And every step of the way, we will be ensuring that we're doing exactly what's necessary, both to keep people safe from COVID, but also to get back to the things we love as quickly as possible. I was pleased to see this week the lifting of a number of restrictions around international travel. We're going to continue to monitor carefully.
Yeah, you were definitely pleased to see that, so you go to your fucking cottage without getting harped on, you fucking goon. Anyway, this is ridiculous. Our parliament's a fucking joke.